Sweet, we're live. Um, so we need to say a prayer. I think I can say it if you want.
Yeah.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this day, and we're grateful for the opportunity that we have to meet today. And we ask you at this time to help us to fill thy spirit as we meet, that we can be guided in the conversation that we have. And this we pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. As far as a spiritual thought goes, maybe this is kind of like different. It'll for sure probably be different, but like especially in the field that I work in, and like substance abuse, and like there's all kinds of different forms of spirituality that we talk about. And so we have these meditation cards, and there's a pretty close family friend who passed away on Monday night, and someone picked this card for me that it's just was. It says, "Time to go. The sun sets and rises each day, and it's the same with the avenues in your life. See the beauty within each sunset in your life, and know that the sun will also rise again tomorrow. Endings are merely the start of a new beginning, and we are with you through each phase of the cycle." And it has an angel on it. And so it kind of, I think, in a lot of regards are open to an interpretation, and that could be for any religious or spiritual type of doctrine. But I really like that. Not only the sun will rise tomorrow, but endings are merely the start of new beginnings. And it's funny how we talk about school just a minute ago, and how like things are can't wait to be done and graduate and yada yada yada. And yet, like then the new cycle starts, and then it's work. And I mean, it's kind of that perspective, and we talked about it last week, I think. But I guess part of what I take in that is to like enjoy the ride and to be present. And things are always going to be starting or ending, and if I'm so focused on the future that I'm missing out on the present, if I'm so eager to be done with school and I'm missing out on the opportunities to learn and to grow and to do stuff like this, and then I'm kind of like missing the point. And sure, like that graduation will come, and more money and career and whatever that looks like for you and for me and for everyone will come. But like if I'm so focused on that happening that I miss out on opportunities to learn and grow and be of service in the present, like there's not a lot of, I don't know, I think there's still purpose, but I think it's kind of besides the point.
Yeah, for sure. No, I totally agree. I think that's why we're told to live every day, day by day, and not look too far ahead. Because when you look too far ahead, you sometimes miss the mark, and you aren't able to do what you're supposed to do today.
Right.
So, yeah, I really like that.
So that's a hard, for me at least, hard to balance like effective planning and being responsible and looking into the future, but not like become focused on the future,
Yeah.
So anyways.
Sweet. I like that a lot.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think like just going along with that is like, I think sometimes we say to ourselves, I'll be happy when this happens too. And I think that's a huge problem. It's like, I'll be happy when I'm making 50, 60,000, I have a job. And if I can't find the happiness now in the moment, like I'm missing out on God's plan for me right now. I think that's pretty awesome.
Totally. Yeah. And and I think it fundamentally, if we place our ability to be happy on things, destinations, like events. Like, oh, I can't be happy, like you said, till I make this much money, or until my kids are grown, or until I have this much in savings, like this new
Yeah.
car, all these kind of destinations that are goals that we give ourselves. And in the meantime, like, what, I'm just going to be miserable until then, and to be so
Yeah.
like focused on the external side of that and neglect the internal piece. And it's like I can be happy and um, at peace today, like regardless of the money and regardless of the material. Um, but sometimes it's pretty easy to lose focus on that.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Awesome.
right on.
All right.
What do you think of the case?
I thought it was like really interesting. Um, I think like I thought it was like pretty sweet that the guy, his name's Gian Forte. I don't even know how to say his name. Gian.
Yeah.
I think it was like really cool that he received like he seemed like received a pretty impressive offer. I thought that was pretty cool. Where he's like these people are like, you guys shouldn't be our main competitor, but you are, so we want to buy you out.
Right. Well, I mean, it kind of, I think, strengthens their maybe, uh, at least in their mind, like lets them know that they've got a really good product.
Yeah,
Like our competitors are worried about it and they want to buy us out, and
yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
indicates like I don't know, the strength and the opportunity for growth. Like they're worried about them taking their market share and being competitors, and enough where they're going to spend like a lot of freaking money to
Yeah,
stop that, you know? So, yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And I mean, how cool would that be if you were that Greg dude?
that'd be pretty awesome. I think.
That'd be super awesome.
I mean,
Well, it's just flattering to have
yeah, it
happen.
provides like that validation.
Um, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I think that was
So,
the main thing I took from it. I thought that was pretty sweet. Um, yeah,
um, what what did you for the that first question, what value would you place on right now technologies?
I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to look at it. I haven't quite got that part figured out. Um, so I think right now they said their revenue run rate was 50 million. I'm trying
Yeah.
to see where they were before. 26 million, 27 million. So I'm not quite sure how to reach that.
What is the revenue run rate?
Is that let me see. Revenue run rate. I'll look it up right now.
The run rate concept refers to the extrapolation of financial results in future periods. For example, a company would report to its investors that its sales in the latest quarter were $5 million, which translates into an annual run rate of 20 million. That's just kind of like a projected,
Yeah.
I guess.
So if they're Run rate was
50 million.
50 million. Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's weird. If you get a phone call, it like takes you out of.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So what I did, and I mean, because I wasn't really sure what to do either. I just looked at that exhibit where it talks about how much other companies like were acquired for and what their revenue was and what their like the multiplier
Yeah.
was. And so I went up to like just the ballpark areas, like I think there's 5 of them that are about there. I don't know, between 10 and 57 million dollars, because that's like in the ballpark, like more or less. And look at what those multipliers were, and took that um, and multiplied it by that run rate, because I thought it said that they would be willing to do that, and then just came up with I came up with 131 million, but let's see.
I think that makes sense to me.
But I forgot to do one of those, so actually got 145. There's one that I missed. So the average for the multipliers within that range,
Yeah.
for this time frame was 2.91. So if they took the 2.91 times the revenue run rate, um, that would be I don't know, 145 million, which I think is, I mean, because in the case it talked about how one of the members would receive like a nine digit return, and a few of them would return like 8-digit returns.
Yeah.
I think, and so that would provide like Greg with, I don't know, $100 million. I would guess like other people would make more than that, but the remaining 45 million split up.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't look through all the exhibits. Does it say like if there's a spread of the equity stake within? We would kind of.
I was looking at that. I think I don't think it showed that. I think in question 3 here it says that if they sought out like 30 to 50%. I think that's kind of what we'd have to figure out. It's the 30 to 50% internal rate of return. What exit value would they expect?
For 30%, I mean,
Somewhere between
for 30%, it would be 150.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they were going off of the IRR. if they're going off.
Yeah, internal rate of return.
Yeah, if they were going off the IRR, it would be 100.5, so 100,500,000.
Nice.
And for 50%, it'd be 250 million off of the internal rate of return and 170.5 million with the IRR.
Sweet.
So
Yeah, that'd be pretty nice.
yeah,
I need that in my bank account.
right.
Well, maybe we should just start a software company.
That's kind of what it sounds like. Holy cow. Yeah, so if his investors are seeking 30 to 50 million, because so my understanding is like I don't know how much say do the investors get if Greg has a 60% stake in equity and they've supplied approximately 34 grand or 34 million, right? 32, 33, 34, something like that. 2 rounds is 16 million.
Yeah. I think they just get
But that was at $129 million valuation. So that's not like a substantial piece of equity.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Shoot.
It's about 12%. 12% and 16%. So I think it was originally valued at $100 million with like a 16.4.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a 16.4% stake. And then with the $129 million valuation, they got what, another, I guess it's, let's see.
And now it would be what did you say, 145 million is what they'd be if this company grabbed them?
Well, that's off of the, yeah, that's off of the revenue run rate.
Pretty nice.
So between so they've got about 28.8% that's to the investors.
Yeah.
And if Greg has 60%, there's about 8.8% left.
Yeah,
But I don't know if that is right.
it sounds right to me. That makes sense. So now it's just figuring out like almost figuring out what he should do.
Um,
I thought it was interesting, like when they tried to go, they kind of talked about how he's a little nervous to try to go public now because they already tried it once and it didn't work out for him.
yeah,
I thought that part was pretty interesting.
yeah, and how and with that Salesforce company that's about to go public.
Yeah,
Um, well, just like the climate of the market right then, how it was pretty
it's like declining.
declining and volatile, and like the IPOs for tech was kind of like down, and so I think I feel like it would be wise, like Greg was saying, to wait to see, or somebody was saying to wait to see what how things went for that Salesforce IPO and kind
Yeah,
of what happened with that
I
before they make any decision.
yeah, I think they have to make sure that they're like evaluating what they're gonna do first. I think it's awesome when a company's like, we're gonna buy you out, come grow with us. But I think you always have to be a little nervous and a little make sure you know exactly what you're getting into before you get into it.
Yeah,
I mean, the offer sounds sweet, like sounds awesome. Like they will be able to grow a ton by that company acquiring them because they have they have more of them, more places where they could get into where if they just continue to grow organically, I think they could be successful because they've already shown that they can rise, but it would take a lot longer.
right. Well, I think that that's one of the things that they would gain with that. I was talking about like the visibility needed. I was talking about like Forms or Forbes and like those other like financial magazines that they generally have only companies that are publicly traded in them, and to get that like visibility or marketing. And I liked what it said, like being able to see the company's financials and to know
Yeah,
that they're stable and to pick up some traction or some attention from investors that way, um, which would only happen like I think through either the acquisition by a company who already is publicly traded and has that like visibility, or through an IPO, which it doesn't sound like they're super excited about. I think, like you said, growing on their own would just take a lot of time.
yeah. They
Um,
said it could take from a couple years to a decade,
yeah, decades.
and
Which
in their line of work, a decade is a long time when you're thinking about software. Things change so much within that course of 10 years. Things change
right,
a ton.
for sure. And so I think about stuff like I'm maybe more pessimistic with some of those thoughts, where it's like, what if this Salesforce, like our biggest competitor, gets bought out by somebody, and they kind of monopolize the market, and all of a sudden it went from like having a little bit of competition to having a lot of competition. Now like we're up against um, a much bigger a much bigger giant, and um, or like you said, who knows with how quickly things change, like their current model and their current product or the service that they provide could be easily outdated, or like they brought on that dude, the sales guy, his last name's Forbes. They brought that guy on and gave him like that really strict criteria for what that role needs to entail, and it sounds like he nailed it, and they've been really successful like through implementing that stuff. But what if on the next go around, the next revamping of their product, like it tanks, and all of a sudden this company that at one time was worth a lot of money, and like all of a sudden it's not worth anything, or worth a heck of a lot less.
Or the company says, well, now our offer is this. We'd like to offer you again, but our offer is substantially lower than it would have been if you would have just gone with it. I think that's a risk, because companies go through that all the time, where they have great products at first, and then their follow-up product isn't as good, and it lowers the value of the whole company. And so
sure,
I think that could be a huge risk.
Yeah, I agree. I for sure agree. I mean, they've been successful 2 times in the past, but I think it makes a lot of sense, like that I don't know that they've gotten lucky. I think they've had a lot of talent in the right positions, and were able to establish like effective, successful products that reached a criteria that needed to be met. But with like the .com era now, like everybody's trying to do that, and what if somebody else can do it better for cheaper, and what if their next idea is I don't know. I think it makes
I personally I would take the offer.
Take the offer?
I think I would. I'm not sure. I mean they can grow. I'm just worried about how fast things change. I think they could be really successful really fast if they take the offer. But I don't know. I think they could grow organically too. And what happens if they're more successful in the long run because of that as well? I mean, they can. I think they're kind of in. I think they're almost in like a win-win kind of situation.
For sure.
Because they are growing. If they take the offer, they could probably grow faster, and if they don't, I mean, they're not really losing a ton because they are. I mean, because they are growing, they are successful.
But the only thing that I worry about with not taking the offer is what we were just talking about. If through like the evolution of things, their product is, I don't know, doesn't get the attention it needs. They don't have the visibility, like their product is outdated, or they don't have a good follow-up product to offer, and then all of a sudden
10 more startups come up, and
and then an IPO is out of the question, and then like being acquired is probably out of the question, and all of a sudden you're left with like a has-been type of company,
for real.
Has-been situation.
I think you take the money and run.
My thing would either be probably to do an IPO or to take the money.
Yeah.
Because I think as far as like kind of what Greg's vision is, like building the economy in Montana, providing like the 2,000 jobs that he's 1,600 short of. I don't know what his other criteria were. That's the only one I remember.
Yeah, those are the ones I remember too. He wants to. He's 1,600 short of the jobs. It's something else.
I like that. Markets change rapidly. He could make a lot of good people rich today with no risk by accepting the acquisition. Or he
Yeah,
could bet their wealth and his on the notion that right now could grow faster and better on its own. So
I think that's scary too, because you're not just messing with your own future right there. You're messing with several people's future there.
yeah,
Not just like just me. I'm the only one that'll be affected. A lot of people will be affected if you make the wrong choice there.
yeah.
And
Well, and what it was saying about like the company's morale, how they were like really loyal. It sounded like to the company, and should they sell, um, if the current employees would I don't know, still be loyal, still have high morale. Like they talked about the other companies as the enemy, and um, maintaining that like
yeah,
community and I don't know, camaraderie, I think is important to think about as well.
yeah, yeah. I think I would I would probably take the offer. I think that's where I'm kind of at. Just take the money.
Take the money and run.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's like I think every once in a while an opportunity comes that you can't pass up on. I think for your competitor to say you honestly shouldn't be competing with us, but you are. We want to acquire you so that you can become part of us. I think that's pretty awesome.
For sure. Um, well, so it basically just says provide analysis of each of the options Greg is considering. Based on your analysis, what should Greg do? Consider Greg's goals as well as the goals of everyone else who's involved in the venture. I don't know, like, I don't know. I mean, it maybe gave kind of goals with that Forbes dude, Sean Forbes, the marketing guy, how he was supposed to achieve some different numbers.
Yeah,
And it gave, um, I mean, goals kind of for not necessarily goals, but like checkpoints to hit with the investors with the 30 to 50%, and how could they all be met, and like the goals for Greg. I'm
yeah.
trying to see what other goals he. Well, hang on. In the case, it says something different about the investors. It says it would be difficult to get their consent on an acquisition without a step up of at least 2 to 3 times the last round's post money valuation.
Hmm.
Without such an increase in value, the VCs might be tempted to gamble on an IPO. The acquirer knew this. The acquirer knew this and was comfortable that they could meet or exceed the expectation range. Wow, so maybe I was way off with my projection, because 2 to 3 times
Yeah.
2 to 3 times their IP or their post money valuation of 129 is like 258 for 2 times. 3 times it was 387. So maybe let's see. Well, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure either. It sounds like it sounds like the people though that are trying to acquire are making like they really believe they can make a fair deal.
Yeah, well, it said that they knew what the VC firms would likely want to see and be able to meet that.
Yeah, I think that's like, and I think if they are able to do that, then everyone leaves happy.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, go ahead.
So if they were to make an offer that was 2 to 3 times what their revenue run rate is, that would be like substantially higher than anything else that in that exhibit. I think the highest, there's 2 multipliers in the 4s. One's 4.2 and one's 4.3. If they for the 3 times the post or the revenue run rate valuation would be 7.7 times. And it would be 5.6 times for the 5.16 times for the 2 times the valuation. So I don't know if that's really, like, it kind of emphasized how willing they were in the case, like that they were willing and down to kind of play ball and
meet where they're at. And yeah, I think that they're trying to give them exactly what they want. I think they recognize them as much of a threat, where they're like, we will happily do it. I think right now, like, they actually have like all the bargaining tools because this company is really threatened by them.
Yeah. So okay. So if they do this, will that satisfy all parties involved?
I think so. I think the VCs are happy, and I think what's his name's happy. I think they're all satisfied. I think, and then they have opportunities to get into markets and places that they hadn't had the opportunity to do before.
Oh, I wonder if there could be a. I just wonder if they do the acquisition. If I mean, and maybe it could be worked into the deal, like with uh, allowing operations to like stay in Bozeman,
Yeah,
delivering like the jobs there and stuff. One of the things that it emphasized and kind of re-emphasized that I don't know if it really addresses is if like that integrity piece would remain with the acquirers company. I mean, it sounded like Greg kind of had that contingency on like some of the people that he hired, and it said a few times how that was something that was really important to him. And I
yeah,
just wonder if that's something that would
carry over.
stay on board. Yeah.
I imagine probably would.
So I don't know. I think we did a. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think we've pretty much addressed that.
yeah,
I mean, so there's kind of two valuations that we have, like the average one and then the one based on the numbers that were the 2 to 3 times the last post money valuation. So that's kind of our range. It asks for the range of our
yeah,
valuation, which is a stinking huge range.
yeah.
It's 145 to 387.
Yeah, that's huge. That's awesome.
So, yeah, man, you got anything else to bring up or
No, I think
any other?
I think it's actually pretty impressive how he's led this company so far. I mean, they didn't have as many resources as this other company, but they were still competing with them. I think that's awesome. It's like
They're private.
Yeah, they could still go. Probably they could still move on and continue to grow the company regardless. And then they're in another win situation where this company is like, no, like we need your help. So that's pretty awesome. I think that's pretty good leadership right there.
Yeah, and I have to also think like, and it didn't say anything about this, but with his previous deal and like selling out of it, and like there's been another case that kind of talked about this or touched on it. It's like if these people are like serial entrepreneurs, like they want to get they'll spend like I don't know 5 years to a decade like developing something and selling out of it. Like you have to think Greg's longevity with this company might not be what he wants to do, especially how we read last week about how running a publicly traded company is a lot different than a not, where like so much of the emphasis gets shifted from satisfying the customers to satisfying the investors and like the stockholders or the shareholders. And so like I think it's a good time. Like I think it sounds like all the criteria could get met.
Yeah.
He could cash out and kind of retire a little bit until he gets eager. I thought it was funny how he didn't want his tombstone to say he caught a lot of fish.
Yeah,
but
that was pretty cool.
I think you sell a company for $350 million, like that's a pretty good accomplishment probably.
For sure. It probably feels pretty good.
Probably feels pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, man.
well, and think about like as the VC firm, if they sell, if total stake, if they have 30% in that company and it gets sold for 387 million, that's over $100 million.
Too.
They made off pretty good too.
Yeah.
His other executives, wherever that other equity is held, like I think we need to get into big business. I don't know how to get there, but I think that's where we got to go, Zach.
Yeah, for sure.
So
software.
Yeah, right. That's what my brother's doing right now, and he's working for a startup in San Francisco.
Nice.
And yeah, interesting. But well, cool, man.
Cool. Well, I'll stop the recording and